Gen V is back this week with episode 6 of season 2, and following Marie showcasing just how powerful she was at the end of episode 5 when inside of Elmira, this installment finally gave us many of the answers that we spent the entirety of the season looking for. We got the potential identity of the man in the chamber, the answer to why Marie is so powerful, we got an understanding of Cipher's endgame and a look into the mindset of Annabeth. With an ending that showed us that war is well and truly on the horizon, not only on a national scale, but also on a smaller scale within God U. Let's dive into this episode and break down all that there is to take away from it. Here is Gen V Season 2 Episode 6, Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Dean Cipher. Within this episode, we got a large focus on Cipher and a deeper understanding into what his endgame is, why he's interested in Marie and his relationship with the man in the hyperbaric chamber. We found out that Cipher essentially dedicated his life's work to following in Thomas Godolkin's footsteps in recreating much of his work that got destroyed in the fire that was supposed to have killed Thomas Godolkin. But with Godolkin potentially being in the hyperbaric chamber, it could mean that Cipher didn't actually spend his life recreating his work, but instead getting it from inside of his mind. This is something that ties into the whole theory of Cipher being controlled by Thomas Godolkin from the chamber. There's no way that Cipher would be able to get the work from Godolkin, as he can't communicate or anything like that. So one would have to imagine that Godolkin was able to take control of Cipher and recreate his own work that way. We found out that Godolkin had the knowledge and ability to pretty much control Homelander if he needed to, so he'd be able to take over a mere mortal like Cipher who has no compound V within him with real ease. One of the first scenes that we had with Cipher and Godolkin, where Cipher was moisturizing his legs, was telling of the fact that Godolkin could be in control. Cipher was zoned out, emotionless, and just staring forward whilst carrying out this mundane task. It was only once he found out that Marie and the group had escaped where he then lashed out on Godolkin, calling him pathetic and worthless. It felt like a strange thing to do, but it made me think that it was Godolkin saying that about himself because his plan wasn't going as he wanted it to. Hence why he was taking it out on himself. Cipher doesn't have V in his system, so I think for most of Cipher's life, or at least while he's been working, he's been getting controlled by Godolkin. Project Odessa was originally created by Thomas Godolkin to bring about the birth of god-tier soups that would be a level above the rest, and with it being revealed in this episode by Stan Edgar that Cipher essentially wanted soup supremacy, that's another argument for it being Godolkin that's in control. Why would a man that has no compound V running through his body want the soups to win this war that's on the horizon? He wouldn't. But Godolkin, somebody that dedicated his life to the project, would definitely want that to be the outcome. We've seen that Cipher's body is a shell that can be used, and he doesn't possess the quick healing powers that the likes of Soups do. So with him being thrown out of the window by polarity, it does make me wonder what state he's going to be in when we next see him, as I imagine he's going to be all bruised up. Cipher's endgame now is to pretty much wipe out 75% of the population of God U, removing all of the Soups that have meaningless powers and only allowing the ones that are worthy of being there to stay. This is something that again makes me think that it's Godolkin controlling Cipher. The university is named after Thomas Godolkin, so he'd of course want the best of the best to be there studying under his name, and not having worthless, embarrassing soups that would be getting represented by a university that was named after him. Marie and Project Odessa. As we saw, Marie is now one of the most powerful soups that there is because she quite literally brought her sister that was killed by Cipher as a test back to life. This didn't only impact her mindset, but it also impacted the likes of Jordan's mindset because they were fearful of just how strong they were. With the group escaping from Elmira with the assistance of Annabeth being a precog, which allowed her to sense when things were coming due to the visions that she'd have. With the Viking being sent after them, Zoe and Stan Edgar appeared and brought the group to his safety bunker that was built 90 feet below the ground and in a place that was undetectable by any kind of power. Marie's arc was important for a couple of different reasons. The first is because she found out more information about Project Odessa, in which she was the only successful soup from her trial period. But she also found out that Homelander was the only other ever successful product of Project Odessa, showing her that she quite literally had the capability of being as powerful, if not more powerful, than Homelander. This explains why it is that Cipher or Godolkin is so interested in her, because she was also of that god-tier territory. Vought originally gave up on her because she didn't express any signs of being a true soup, but as we saw, those powers ended up coming around eventually. And now, with the ability of being able to potentially heal powers like Cate wanted her to, the ability to resurrect and the potential ability to draw Compound V out of Soup's systems, she's got an endless amount of power at her disposal. She could quite literally stop Homelander if she was strong enough. What I love about Marie being one of the most powerful Soups to ever walk the earth is that she's always had a power complex inside of her mind. When she discovered her powers, it was the most traumatic thing that had ever happened to her in the fact that she killed her parents and lost the two people that she cared about most. And with that, it also destroyed her relationship with her sister. With her now finding out that she's one of the most powerful Soups ever, at a point where she's got her sister back in her life, it's something that's clearly causing her to have a sense of trauma inside of her again. This is why I also think she walked away and left Stan Edgar's bunker during the ending. She doesn't want to cause any more pain to the people that she cares about, especially not her sister and Jordan, just like what she did to her mother and father. So I think she left because she's going to be confronting Cipher head on and looking to take him out with the newfound powers and strength that she thinks that she's got. Stan Edgar clearly wants Marie on his side because he knows that the impending war is coming with the Soups that are wanting supremacy with Homelander leading them and the people in power being taken out by them. With Stan knowing that Marie was just as powerful as Homelander due to Victoria Newman being aware of the secret that Marie was a successful product of Project Odessa, he wanted the other side to have a weapon just as strong as Homelander. Annabeth. With Annabeth being brought back to life by Marie, we saw that she went with the group and her relationship with her sister was put under the spotlight slightly. Annabeth didn't know when she got Compound V in her system, but during this episode we found out that she was a Soup, just like her sister. One would have to imagine that her parents probably did it to her as they did it to Marie from the earliest point possible. Annabeth had interesting powers and some that we haven't really seen before in the boys. She was a precog and had the ability to sense what was going to happen before it actually did. She'd have these visions, but she wasn't able to control when and where they'd happen, so she didn't have her powers fully under control. There was an interesting moment where Annabeth was looking over at Cate from the distance, and she looked suspicious. Could she have seen in a vision Cate potentially doing something where she ends up betraying the likes of Marie? She did end up following her during the ending, and there was a sense of familiarity there, so I'm intrigued to see what that could be. Annabeth still resented Marie because she felt as though everything bad that happened in her life was because of her. From losing her parents to her quite literally being killed by Cipher and now no longer being able to go back and be with Pam. I think we could end up seeing Annabeth having a vision about Marie with Cipher, and that could be what drives the group out of Stan's bunker and ultimately lead them to go and rescue her, or at least fight by her side. Sam and Emma. Sam actually saved the day in this episode because he broke down the wall in Elmira, got the van, and allowed them to drive to safety. This wasn't the main part of Sam's story though. His one was all about accepting what he did on campus last year and participating in the attack that happened and going against the likes of Marie, Andre, Jordan, and Emma, and also the way that he treated Emma when she clearly had feelings for him. Sam has started to understand that the only way that he's going to be able to move on is to process what happened, apologize, and then he can move forward. Sam noticed Greg was in Emma's messages and he asked her who Greg was. This to me shows that with Sam and Emma picking up where they left off in the previous season, there's going to be a love triangle that forms between the three of them. The question is though, who will Emma end up picking? I think it's obviously going to be Sam. My review of the episode. Personally, I thought this episode was a little on the slow side, but I didn't mind it. I didn't mind it being slow because it felt like this was the calm before the storm. This was the episode where so much information was shared with us and we finally got some clarity on many of the questions that we had. I also liked the fact that it felt like it was a bit of a double bluff with the fact that Cipher had been drawing information out of Godolkin, when I don't think that was the case at all. It was quite nice seeing some powers being used against other characters in this episode. The fight with the Viking and Sam, and also Jordan taking out those guards. I feel like we've not seen the powers truly being used in a while, so it was refreshing to see. As per usual, Cipher's obsession and his mindset came close to stealing the show. He's easily one of the best performed characters in the series, and I'm looking forward to seeing him potentially getting his comeuppance. Stan Edgar appearing in such a random way was a real surprise, and I didn't expect it at all. Him being the character that revealed all about Odessa, Cipher, Marie's potential, and what Thomas Godolkin was like felt appropriate, and it was nice to see him appearing on screen again. It really does feel like there's a lot at stake now, and with only 2 episodes left, I feel it's going to be all-out action. I'm thinking we're definitely going to see Homelander appearing before the end of the season, even if it's just to find out how powerful Marie actually is and that she could be a threat to him. When Homelander's backed into a corner and becomes insecure, it makes for some great watching, so I hope we get to see that. As I said, this was a relatively slow and intimate episode, but I think it worked. I just hope that the final 2 episodes live up to expectations and give us what we deserve. So, there you have it, Gen V Season 2 Episode 6, Ending Explained. If you want to see every episode of Gen V Season 2 being broken down, then check the playlist below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. What did you think of Episode 6? Share your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video, and I'll see you in the next one.